So week 26 finishes yesterday and we're already having to talk about week 27 as there is a full fixture list midweek with some tasty games. Welcome to the preview and predictions on the Footy Network. Guys, hope you're doing well and welcome to the Footy Network as we get into week 27 and there are some really important fixtures. You got Forest taking on Arsenal, Spurs against Man City, Liverpool against Newcastle, just to name a few of the big games coming up. If you're enjoying the content, please don't forget to hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed if you're new here on the Footy Network. Let me know how you're feeling about your team season so far. Have you taken an L this weekend? Have you recovered? I'm still in mourning. But let's jump straight into this and let's get into the first game of these midweekers. It's the Amex Stadium for the first game of these midweekers as Brighton will take on Bournemouth. These are two teams that have European ambitions, shall we say, but maybe in different places. Or are they both still going for Champions League spots? Brighton are currently sitting 9th in the league, sitting on 40 points and only 4 points off a top 5 finish. Bournemouth, on the other hand, are sitting in 6th, dropping out of the top 5 after they took their L to Wolves last weekend, or the weekend just gone. This is going to be an interesting game. Bournemouth have been absolutely rocking the Premier League over the last 2 months, but that slip up to Wolves is their second loss in the last couple of games. That and of course the Liverpool loss. And Brighton have started to find some form and they are now 2 dubs in a row. Can they start to creep back up into a Champions League position race? I'm saying no. I think these teams will cancel each other out. I can see it being high scoring. I'm going to go Brighton 2, Bournemouth 2. I'm going for the old Desmond 2-2 there. I think it'll be a tight game. If any team's going to edge it though, I would back the home team. But I think it ends up in a draw. Selhurst Park is the second game where we will see Crystal Palace hosting Aston Villa. Now, Crystal Palace have had interesting form. They've gone LWLW for the last few games. They're sitting 13th in the table, which is one off their usual 12th place finish. But they seem to be getting their wins on the road and not at Selhurst Park. On the other hand, Villa did well to come back from behind and beat Chelsea. Marcus Rashford was even smiling in the game, getting his first assist in the Premier League for God knows how long. And Villa have crawled themselves potentially back into a top 5 race. Although they are 8th, they're on 42 points, which only puts them 2 points behind Newcastle in 5th place. Can Villa sustain any form or get a run going together? With Champions League still on the cards for Villa, is that going to distract them? Because every game bar one, when they've been in the Champions League, they've lost the following week. I'm going to go for an away win. I'm going to go Crystal Palace 1, Aston Villa 3. I just think with Palace's recent home form, I think they may stutter against Villa, and Villa will be feeling good after that Chelsea win. Who knows though? I could be wrong. Molyneux in the West Midlands, we'll see Wolverhampton Wanderers taking on Fulham, and Wolves have put a little bit of a gap between them and 18th. Even though they are still 17th in the Premier League, they are 5 points clear of the relegation zone. And after a huge win for them last weekend, where they were able to beat Bournemouth away from home with yet another Cunha goal, this guy is absolutely on fire. And is he single-handedly keeping Wolves in the Premier League? They will now, as I said, take on Fulham. Fulham are just so inconsistent at the moment. They lost to Crystal Palace, as we just talked about. That was before 2 Ws. They are sitting 10th in the league on 39 points. By no stretch are they out of a race for Europe or maybe even a Champions League spot, but they're gonna have to get some more consistency as they need to chase down the pack that is ahead of them. I'm going to go with Wolves to win this one. I'm going to go Wolves 2, Fulham 1. I just feel there's a little bit of wind in the Wolves sail. And thank you for beating Bournemouth, Wolves. We owe you. Stamford Bridge in West London is the next game as Chelsea will take on bottom club Southampton. And Southampton, what are you doing? Back-to-back L's in the Premier League, holding 4 to Brighton at the weekend. Their players look like they are dead and buried. But Saints, you have to get another 3 points. Come hell or high water, beat that derby record. Chelsea, on the other hand, are so inconsistent. How many times have they taken the lead this season and then gone and thrown it away, just like they did against Aston Villa at the weekend? They took the lead and still blew it. They are down in 7th place. Yes, 7th. But are only 1 point off those top 5 key positions right now. This surely is a must win. If Maresca doesn't win this game against an out of form Southampton team, then they should sack him then and there. If you're a Chelsea fan, are you Maresca in or out? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to back the home team here. I'm going to go Chelsea 4, Southampton 0. But could you imagine a meltdown in the Chelsea fan base if they hold an L to Southampton at the Bridge? It will be blockbuster. The BTEC Stadium will see the next game of the weekend as Brentford will host Everton. And after Brentford got their free win against Leicester, I mean, who isn't taking L's against Leicester right now? They thrashed them 4-0. They too are sitting in and around the lower, I would say, European spots, or at least contending for it. They're 11th in the table and only 3 or so points off being fully in contention. Now, Everton, on the other hand, got absolutely screwed by Manchester United at the weekend after a penalty was awarded on Ashley Young. Yes, he may have dove, but his shirt got pulled twice. It was overturned by VAR. Cartel 6 bias? I think so. But Everton have been ticking along nicely. They're now 14th in the league, sitting on 31 points. I think they're pretty much safe, but one more win should see them safe on about 34, maybe 35 points will be required, if not way less if you look at the bottom 3. And I think this one probably ends in a stalemate. A draw. I'm going to go Brentford 1, Everton 1. This may not be the prettiest of matches, but this will be an important point to Everton on the road as they get closer and closer to full safety. But what do you guys think? The Tottenham Hotspur Stadium will see the next game as Tottenham take on Manchester City. And this tends to be a match that Tottenham win. Doesn't matter how crap they are, they seem to be a bit of a bogey team for Manchester City. However, Tottenham are now 12th in the league, pulling away from that relegation fight, and believe it or not, have gone 3 W's in a row. Okay, you could say they've beaten some dusty teams, but they did beat Brentford away. They beat Man U, and then this weekend beat Ipswich quite comfortably, with Forest old boys Brennan Johnson and Jed Spence doing the business for them there. In terms of Manchester City, I just don't know where to place them right now. They've taken 2 L's in the last 7 days, losing away to Real Madrid in the Champions League and then holding 2 at their own stadium to Liverpool. But they are sitting 4th on 44 points, well in the mix for the top 5 positions for those Champions League spots. I just can't see their consistency. They've gone win-loss in their last 4 in the Premier League. And I just got a feeling that Spurs may do a number on them. It would be the most Spursy thing to happen, but then again, it would be the most Spursy thing if they lost. I'm going to go Tottenham 3, Manchester City 1. But I'm not confident with that. You can never be when it comes to Spurs. And this season, Man City. Old Trafford will see a relegation 6-pointer as Manchester United take on Ipswich. Manchester United scumbag their way to a point against Everton after being 2-0 down. And Ipswich is sitting 18th in the league and in serious trouble, 5 points adrift from Wolves. They need to get a win here and maybe even drag Manchester United into a full-on relegation battle. Man, this is like the good, the bad, and the ugly without the good. Manchester United 15th on 30 points. I still think they need another 4 to 5 points to be safe. And beating Ipswich would get them that step closer. It genuinely is a 6-pointer. If Ipswich did the unthinkable, they'd cut their deficit to Man U to 10 points. That's still a big turnaround that will be required. I think this one ends up in a draw. I'm going Manchester United 1, Ipswich 1. Ipswich aren't in a good place right now, holding 4 to Spurs. They'll do well to get a draw out of this. But I don't like United, so I'm not going to back them to win. But what do you guys think? World famous City Ground will see the next match as Nottingham Forest will host Arsenal in a battle of second versus third in the Premier League. And both these teams are coming off holding L's this weekend. Forest were 4-1 down against Newcastle. My head is still hot over that one. Yes, they turned it round in the second half to make it 4-3, but it was an absolutely shocking performance all around. But it wasn't as bad as Arsenal, who lost at home to West Ham, who are 16th in the league. And they've all but given the title now to Liverpool. They are now sitting 11 points behind Liverpool. Yes, with the game in hand. But does that really matter with their inconsistency and lack of attack this season, or since at least January? With no Saka inside, with Lewis Skelly now being suspended for this game, can Arsenal go to the City Ground and produce a result? And with Forest themselves sitting on 47 points, 6 points behind Arsenal, they need to cut that deficit in half if they are to firm up potentially those top 4 positions. But Forest are on back-to-back L's. Nuno needs to get a reaction out of his players, and I think he will. I'm going to go Forest 3, Arsenal 0. I just don't think Arsenal have the strike force to get a goal, and I think Nuno will demand a reaction from Forest, and under the lights at the world famous City Ground, maybe it happens. What do you guys think? Have I convinced you? Let me know in the comments. Anfield will see the 9th game of these midweekers as Liverpool will host Newcastle. This is 1st versus 5th in the league, and Liverpool are flying high right now with an 11-point lead over Arsenal. Surely they can't let it slip. If they did, would this be a worse bottle job than we saw Newcastle do back in the day under Keegan? Newcastle got a win against Forest. The less we say about that, the better. But this is actually a dress rehearsal for the Carabao Cup final in a couple of weeks' time. And Newcastle will want to go to Anfield and upset the cart a little. Let's just remember, they are deep in the mix on this top 5 race. They're sitting 5th now, so they're in those positions. Level on points with Man City, who are 4th, but only 1 point clear of the likes of Bournemouth and Villa, etc. Chelsea and Villa. They need to get something out of this, but I just can't see it. There's only one team that's been able to beat Liverpool this season, and we all know who that was. And this is at Anfield, where they very rarely take an L, apart from against Forest. I'm going to go Liverpool 3, Newcastle 1. As good as Newcastle were in the first half against Forest, they took their foot off the pedal in the second half and conceded some goals. I can see Liverpool creating chances. But what do you guys think? Who wins this one? Let me know in the comments. The London Stadium will see the final games of the midweek as West Ham will take on Leicester. And what a joke Leicester have been in recent weeks. Only 1 win in 10, only 0 goals. 0 goals in their last 6 home matches. They are holding L after L after L, apart from against Spurs. But they've had 3 L's on the bounce, with their latest one being a thrashing at home to Brentford. On the other hand, West Ham are feeling buoyant after they went to the Emirates and took all 3 points from Arsenal, effectively ending their title charge. And West Ham looked okay, but not brilliant. Bowen 7-4-7 flying in between the 2 defenders to get the goal. Can they move on and get 3 points and move themselves from 16th place and 30 points? But if Leicester are going to survive, and it is looking bleak right now because the point gap for them is 5 points as well to Wolves, they are going to need to win some games and win them fast. Van Nistelrooy is not cutting it right now at Leicester, and I think they've all but accepted their fate back to the Championship. So I'm going for a home win. I'm going to go West Ham 2, Leicester City 0. Leicester, I think you're dead and buried. Enjoy the Championship. And that brings you up to date with all 10 matches this midweek. Make sure you get your predictions in the comments down below. And if you've enjoyed this video and haven't already, please don't forget to hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the Footy Network if you're new here. Good luck to your teams this midweek, and we'll see you on the next video. Enjoy the rest of your week.